It's a pleasure to be here, and it's hard to believe that it's been 2 years now that I've been in office. Some days it feels like it's been a lot longer than that, and sometimes it feels like it's been a little bit shorter, but it's been about 2 years. And it is, we have covered so much ground in that short period of time that it really is actually a pleasure to be able to sit here and talk to you for a short period of time about the things that I think have been accomplished and some of the places that we still need to go. But before I get started, no mayor works alone. It also, we need good council members to be able to help represent our people. And what I would like to do is, before I get started, is to introduce the members of council that are here. First of all, we have President Joe McNamara, Adam Martinez, Mike Craig, and Rob Luderman. George is, where's? Ah, George, you got the same problem I got. Can't see it. George Taranto in the back. And Tom Wadnewski, I guess, is on the back side over here. Okay? So all in. One of the reasons that in the position of mayor, you have a lot of issues that you have to be able to deal with, and you have to be able to sometimes deal with them on a fairly quick basis. And one of the things that we've been really trying to do is be able to turn the city of Toledo around and move it in a direction that is going to be positive not only for the city of Toledo but also Northwest Ohio. But to do that, I think that what I need to do is paint you a little bit of a picture of what we started with so that you know where we're trying to go, and I think that we're doing a pretty good job of getting there. I'd also like to introduce Councilwoman Paula Hicks Hudson and Tyrone Riley, who also, I don't want to miss any of you guys, so thank you. We started back in 2009, and we had a revenue of about 141, okay, as a city in our general fund at the end of the year. That was a long ways from where we had been in the previous years of 2007, where we started off with about 169 million, and so now we're at 141. Now, what was happening in Toledo was not unique to cities throughout the United States. It was happening all over. But what we had to do is be able to find fairly quickly solutions to being able to deal with the issues that were at hand. Realizing that we needed to move fairly quickly and be fairly active, we started doing some things that I had mentioned would occur when I was running for mayor. I knew that there had to be some very hard choices made. We needed to do them fairly quickly. I also said, and most people who have listened to me when I was running for mayor, that at some point in time, in the period of trying to turn this ship around, I would have a bunch of people that would start to be mad at me. Well, I would say I'm right on schedule. But it doesn't change what needs to be done. We can get mad, we can get emotional, but the bottom line is that we have to be able to put things to action if we're going to save our city, we're going to save Northwest Ohio. We are truly all on the same ship, but sometimes we like to believe that we're not. We realized that in coming into office that there were going to be some issues, but it actually became a little bit more complicated. So we have a public that sometimes they get a little bit sensitive, and they do get a little bit emotional too. And one of the things that they were very clear in telling me initially as the mayor is that they did not want me to raise any taxes. They did not want me to raise any fees. They wanted to have the exact same services, and the employees inside wanted their raises. Next, you'll see a rabbit come out of the hat. Well, understanding all those issues were pertinent, we needed to be able to figure out how to work through it. So we started making some pretty tough calls that allowed for us to start to ramp this budget up a little bit. And through the efforts of council and through the efforts of a lot of hard and tough calls that we've had to make in the last couple years, where we started at about 141, we're now somewhere around 154 and being able to do our recovery, which means that we're moving in an upward direction. We're not back at the 168 or 169 that we need to be at, but we're moving in the right direction. I think that we're doing some great things to make that happen. We have seen some great things happen in our city in the last year from the standpoint of the Toledo Jeep plant assembly being able to step up and say that somewhere around 2013 they'll be online with another 1,100 employees inside our system being able to work. We have some movement from investors who have moved in from a different country to be able to try to help us, but we still need to be able to fundamentally be able to work through some issues to be able to move our city forward. A large portion of that requires regional collaboration. When I started talking about that we needed to be able to reach out regionally to just about everybody to be able to move forward on the issues of being able to not only save Toledo but Northwest Ohio. I understand that previously it was very difficult for people to believe that the leadership of Toledo would want to come to the table and be an equal partner in the things that were necessary for us to be able to move forward. But that is required. And we have started to reach out regionally and be able to do some things that really actually work to the benefit of all of us. Realizing that this economy and the economics that we're dealing with right now is not just focused just on Toledo. We know that when we're reaching out to communities around us, that they have some of the same concerns that we do about trying to figure out how to right their ship. And so the idea, the concept of being able to see, okay, what are some of the shared services or things that we can do together as cities that maybe we haven't done before to be able to pull ourselves out of this economic recession that we currently find ourselves in. Well, one of the first incidences of that to be able to work really well was our ability to actually partner with the city of Ottawa Hills in being able to bring our fire services together. Now, I can tell you that when we initially started, there was a lot of naysayers that told us that it was impossible that you would ever be able to do that because the swing of the types of people were so far apart that maybe it could not occur. Well, right now we have just celebrated last week 1 year of that service in Ottawa Hills. And it has been done at the benefit of both cities. For us, we were able to gain 10 highly qualified firefighters who were able to come into our system and be of great assistance to us from the standpoint of our shortage of personnel and the need for those personnel. And for the city of Ottawa Hills, it actually was about a $500,000 reduction in their city budget that they didn't have to pay anymore. And we actually gained about $500,000. So it worked out perfectly for both sides. It was a win-win. Now, one of the things that was interesting is that the customer base that originally was very argumentative in some ways about the idea or concept of being able to have a shared service with a city such as Toledo, they were pretty radical at the beginning. But I can tell you that it was very interesting that the first 3 days of service, the fire service being in Ottawa Hills, they got 3 apple pies, 1 pie per day. Those 3 pies were actually more than the amount of runs they made in that 3 days. So what I'm saying to you is that the benefit of adding 1 run to the city of Toledo that absolutely was able to help the city of Ottawa Hills was a win-win for everybody. To that point, now they've actually become an intricate part of the community. They realize that the things that the people in the city of Toledo want, it's the same things as the people in Ottawa Hills want. They respond to parades, they go to block parties, they do all those different things, but those are the things that people were concerned wouldn't occur, and they did. We actually got involved with something nobody thought we'd do also, and that was actually the privatization of our refuse. Now, that was a major step, but it was an appropriate step. I had listened to people on the campaign trail, and for the first year or so, talk about how you needed to be more competitive in that area from the standpoint of the city of Toledo. We were spending probably twice as much as we're spending now to be able to deal with the issues of refuse inside our city. So when the county decided that it was willing to partner with us to be able to create a solid waste district, yeah, it was a bit risky because nobody had been willing to do that. But I'm one of these people that, once again, whether it's 2 years or 6 years, my intent is to make sure that we turn this city around for all the citizens here. So by doing this, we're able to grab a substantial savings for the city of Toledo while increasing the efficiency of the operation. We were able to do that without losing any of our employees because we had other vacancies that needed to be taken care of, and council were extremely concerned about that. So we added to the efficiency of the people that we had in the system while still adding to another portion that we needed to be taken care of, and that was the trash. Now, the part that's been really interesting is that we thought that because of doing that, our complaints would go up. We had a meeting about, maybe about a month and a half ago with the company that actually took over. And what has actually happened is we've actually reduced the amount of complaints that we have involving our refuse by about 75%. So I think it works. See, the deal is that the city of Toledo itself has to be able to run like a business. We have to be, although we want to be, we have things that we have to be able to take care of that businesses don't have to take care of. We still have to have the ability to make sure that we're running it in the most efficient way. And I want to thank council once again, because for them to be able to step up, it takes also a lot of courage. It's not just the mayor. Council has to also be able to step up and be able to do the things that are going to actually change the direction of this ship we call Toledo, Northwest Ohio, by just 1 degree. That's all we're shooting for, is 1 degree. But you would be amazed at what it takes to be able to turn that ship 1 degree. You'd be amazed at how many people try to pull a boat back the other way. Now, they don't know why they're pulling it back. They just know that they want to pull it back. And you have to fight that every day. It's not just that it shows up once in a while. It shows up every day of somebody wanting to go the other direction. And so we're working through that. We have been able to move forward with doing this refuse portion without really raising the fees on our customers, which they told us not to do. And we were able to also make sure that the senior citizens were taken care of because we didn't raise their rates at all. So it was basically a win-win, again, for everybody. As I've said to you, it is important that we work regionally. The next issue that I'm looking at being able to do is figuring out how do we work regionally to leverage our water in a way that will be beneficial for not only Toledo, but also Northwest Ohio. This water issue is extremely important. You may or may not know this, is that the newest part of our water plant is actually 1 year, I was 1 year old when it was put in place. It was created in 1956, the newest part. The oldest part goes back to 1941. Here's another fact that you may not have heard, because we were able to successfully move on it. Last summer, or last fall, we had an incident that occurred at one of our low-service pump centers. This issue actually took out the electric of that pump center because there were some concerns going on. And in this region, we had 5 hours of water before we would have gotten to a boil alert. If we had gotten to the boil alert, it would have affected 500,000 people. Fortunately, we had a crew at the water plant that were experts at what they did and what they do. and they were able to bring us back in service with about an hour to spare. That's the type of employees we have, and they focused and they did what they needed to do.